practices in. Started getting shoulder pads and had to pop a little bit, so we certainly have gotten a little more work done. I'm excited about the tempo the guys have. They really push through. You know, it's kind of starting to get to that grind point of camp where you want guys to push through the pain. A lot of nicks and bumps and bruises. A couple guys banged up. John Atkins had a little bit of a small knee deal, but we think he'll be fine. He'll be back, but he's out for a little while, and that's tough at a position that we're kind of already thin at. But the three freshmen are chugging along, getting more reps. It allows them to get reps. Big thing for John is he's going to have to push and stay in shape while he's not out there with us. But that's really the only injury of significance. Shakiri's working his way back in, trying to take a few more reps. Both the young backs are doing a good job. But it's been good to get out of pads, and you feel like you can find out a lot more about kids when they put pads on than you can in shorts. So we'll be back today in pads, of course, for the fan day, and we're excited about having a big group out there for it and getting to go to kind of a different venue. And it makes it a lot different for the kids. A different routine is a good change up. We'll open it up.
If you got any questions, raise your hand. Let's get this floor mic to you.
Just following up on John Atkins, when you say a little while,
Don't know how long. It's really just day to day for us. We're going to find out how long it takes. But again, it's right now it's day to day. We want to get him back out there as soon as we can, but right now he's working in the pool, running, kind of hyperextended his knee, no ligament damage or anything. So see how long it takes to get him back out there. He's a kid that knows the defense really well, so it shouldn't be as bad other than the fact that we just don't have enough depth there.
Coach, so how does having a offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach like Jim Chaney, how does that excite you with his history with a quarterback?
Yeah, part of the key reasons I went after Coach Chaney was his quarterback development. You know, I've seen what he's done, you know, at Arkansas, and also Tyler Bray, and Sims kid at Tennessee, and transfer come into Pitt last year. I think it was Nathan Peterman who did a really good job up at Pitt. So I got a lot of respect for his development of quarterbacks. I've been able to sit in, you know, some of his meetings. It's very knowledgeable for me as a coach to get better, to hear how he talks to the quarterbacks about the defense. You know, you find a lot out when a guy does that. But he's a great asset. He's a really good leader, and he's doing a great job with the offensive staff, making sure they're organized and have a detailed plan every day.
Hey Kirby, 5 practices in. Any impressions of your quarterbacks changed as it relates to the competition?
You know, it really hadn't, Mark. I mean, we've been rotating those guys, and we've been spinning them all three, kind of where they, you know, all three get to go with each group. And we're kind of taking it day by day, where one guy gets to go with the ones, guy gets to go with the twos, guy gets to go with threes, and they all rotate. So that rotation will continue today, with today being the 6th practice. So if you do your math, as you kind of go through, this will be the end of the 2nd rotation. So we're excited to see those guys go out and compete, and we're trying to get them equal reps, and it's been tough, but it's pretty balanced up. But I can't tell you that anybody stood out more than anybody else right now. It's too early. They're still in the installation process, where sometimes that can be overwhelming. And kind of the second time you go back through the installation, you expect it to be a lot smoother. Because now it's not only it's the second time this fall, but it's really the 3rd or 4th time since the staff's arrived.
Coach, when you first took over, you mentioned that you wanted to get bigger and stronger. Have you gotten any closer to that goal?
Well, being that we've only signed the one class, you recruit big, and you obviously lift to get stronger. I mentioned earlier, I do think that we're stronger as a team. I think the kids really feel that way. We can see it in a few players out there where they're getting more movement, and they're able to come out of their hips, roll their hips a little bit stronger, squat and bench and things like that. That's helped with some positions that needed it, but it's hard to just, you know, make a person bigger. You got to go recruit and do well in that area. We think we did that in recruiting along the defensive line, but we really didn't answer some questions on the offensive line. So that's being addressed now through recruiting.
Kirby, you talked earlier in the week about, you know, your
the team's proven that they can run, but then now it's time to see if they can run and think. How would you rate week one, like maybe 1 to 10, as far as all the mental stuff that's got to be important?
Well, I'm not gonna get into a 1 to 10 scale. I think that's hard to do, because it's kind of moving parts. There's a lot of parts there that it's hot out there for a lot of the guys, and then being able to push through that. And we told them over and over, they can't let the heat slow the brain. They can't let the heat slow the heart, and they got to push through. And now I do think that our leadership group and some of the leaders on the team are trying to lead everybody. But as far as the number 1 to 10, I know it's not ever where you want it to be as a coach. If you think you've got a 10, you got problems.
Back to you, Coach Chaney. How encouraged were you with what he was able to do last year after losing probably one of the best running backs in the country?
Yeah, you know, I didn't even realize that at the time, because I was in a different world, thinking about different things and focusing on the season that I was coaching. I didn't find that out until I went kind of on the recruiting of the offensive coordinator position, calling around. And once I realized that, it made it more attractive to say, here's a guy that lost his leading rusher, one of the best rushers in the country, and was still able to be productive with a new quarterback. So that was a great asset, knowing that the backs that we're going to constantly have here at the University of Georgia are going to be good backs. And he's got a really good track record with that. And I've always felt like the diversity is what I like the most. Because I can still remember playing them at Tennessee with Ray and 3 really good wideouts. They didn't have a back at the time, and they threw it all over the yard. You know, came in Sanders Stadium and put up 50-something or 40-something points, throwing it around. So, I mean, he's done both, and I like to think that we're going to be versatile enough to get really good wideouts and really good running backs. And he's used both, so I thought he did a great job last year at Pitt, you know, losing the back and still sustaining it.
Coach, I don't know how much you can get into it, but can you talk about your relationship with Maurice Smith at Alabama? And, you know, philosophically, do you feel transfer rules should apply differently to graduate transfers as opposed to undergrad transfers?
Yeah, I can't speak much about the Mo situation, because he's a recruited, prospective student athlete. So, you know, I can obviously comment that we're recruiting Mo, and he's a prospective student athlete. But as to the graduate transfer deal, you know, I think that every young man that we want to bring here to the University of Georgia, we want them to graduate from this place. And if they have an opportunity to go to graduate school at another place, I certainly think that's something we're going to let them do, and they have an opportunity to go once they graduated. I think that's important to know.
Even if that's another SEC school.
Absolutely.
In regards to down Bellman, Lorenzo, Carter, do you see them taking that kind of step where they can effectively replace guys like George Jenkins and Leonard Floyd?
You know, those are some big shoes to fill. I got to watch those guys play, you know, opposite the whole. I mean, every time we had an overlap, you'd see those 2 guys play. They played with high motors. They were, especially George, was really a physical presence, and struck blockers and played things the right way. To say they're going to fill those shoes, I think it's unfair for them, because I think those are really big shoes to fill. I think both those kids are working hard, but they're not where we need them to be. They're not playing physical enough at the point of attack. And where we're depleted the most right now is on the edges of the defense when it comes to 5 technique, 6 technique, those type bodies. Not the inside guys so much, but the outside guys being able to hold up. And I'm challenging those guys each day to go out and take on tight ends, take on tackles, and play more physical. And we're not where we need to be at that position.
You said the other day that you wanted to see today how players respond to having people in the stands. I forget if you were talking about quarterbacks, but can you say what kind of things will you be looking for to see how players respond today?
Well, first thing, I just want them to focus on practicing good. I mean, we're still in day 6 install, and that's important that they focus on what they have to do. And the distraction becomes just because somebody's in the stands or just because you got your picture taken before practice, does that change your demeanor? You know, does that change how you practice? Does that change how you react to coaching? Does that change how you react to when somebody kicks your butt? You know, it's very important to me that they handle that the right way. If they don't handle that the right way today, they certainly won't in the Georgia Dome in however many days. So it's important to me that they handle that the right way and that they execute. Because a lot of times guys go out there and they change the way they do things because they're in a different place and they got a different setting. I guess you got a question now.
I guess I do now.
Think of something.
Yeah, about Mel Tucker. You worked with him before last year. With the secondary, I kind of asked you last time about the secondary being a veteran group. How well, with his knowledge of the NFL, do you think that can only improve what those guys can do back there?
Yeah, first thing about Mel, he's a great teacher. I've been around really good teachers when it comes to the secondary, and he's a great motivator of men, but he's a great teacher. And I enjoy getting to sit in his meetings, because I actually didn't. Last year, I was running the overall defense, so I was in there coordinating defense, talking. When I left for the linebackers, I don't know, what was going on in the DB room. I went in there, I didn't get to hear Mel coach. So this year, I spend some of my time, 25–30% of my time, going and make his meetings as opposed to somebody else's. And it's a joy to hear him teach with the passion and energy that he's got for the kids. He gets after it. He makes it fun for them, makes it fun for the whole defense. He has kind of a different theme each week, and the kids like it. They laugh in the meetings, they have a good time, and I think that's important. The guys will play hard for you when they have a good time learning. He's a great teacher, and I think the defensive backs here have realized that he's a technician. He's going to teach them the technique that helps them advance, how to play press man, how to play this, and not just what the coverage is and what my check is. So he's a really good teacher, and that's been a great asset for these guys.
I know y'all are doing installation right now, Kirby, but you've got the running backs, tight ends, and the receivers. At what point do you start sort of figuring out which of those guys is going to be on the field more than the others?
Yeah, I think
as a group.
Yeah, I guess you're saying what personnel groupings we would be in. I think that's going to show and to be determined by the scrimmages, because the scrimmages, they'll be all in the games, so they'll all be rotated in, and who performs well, what our best offensive grouping will be determined by how they do in scrimmages, how guys perform. How well the tight ends block, how well our play action game is, how well the receivers block on the perimeter tells how many of them will be in. The running backs are doing a good job. I do think that both freshman running backs, both Brian and Elijah, are really competing hard. They're both really tough, physical, what you want in player. They're guys that are going to be able to help in special teams. The first thing you look for in special teams is where can the running backs help. And here these two guys are. Both of them run good, both of them hit. Both of them got a little toughness, and they're both sharp kids, so we're trying to get some help out of them. So what grouping we use will be determined by scrimmage 1 and scrimmage 2, how those groups perform. Also, what our quarterback can do, how many backs are healthy, that kind of thing. But I can't say when that will happen for sure.
As the season progresses, how involved do you think you're going to be with the defense in terms of like hands-on, and would you describe it as Mel's defense, or kind of how much are you part of it?
Well, the one thing I learned is that it's UGA's defense. It's not Mel's defense, it's not Kirby's defense, it's UGA's defense. It's Davin Bellamy and Renzo Carter and Dom Sanders' defense. So we won't be taking credit as coordinator, we won't be taking credit as head coach, nor will we be getting blame should things not go well one game. But I'll be spending the majority of my time on the defense, because that's where I feel like I can be the biggest asset and knowledge. To put a percentage on it, I don't know what that is yet. We haven't had an in-week, kind of in-season, in-week game planning. But I certainly think that's where the most input's going to go.
On the Mel front, have you had much interaction with them before Alabama? Even, I know you were at LSU at different times, but even back to those days under Coach Saban?
And really not. And to be honest with you, I didn't really know. The only way I knew Mel was through pro workouts. So he was in the league during a lot of those runs at Alabama. So when we had players do workouts, he would come in to work them out. And that's the interaction I had with Mel, was through him coming to ask about Kareem Jackson or Javier Arenas or Mark Barron. So those conversations occurred, but never on a coaching relationship did I know him. He obviously knew Coach Saban, and Coach Saban wanted to bring him in. It was a great hire last year for us, and then that's when I got to really know him.
Got time for 2 more questions?
Kirby, practice withstanding, there's a lot of things going on today. Pitchers with fan day. How exciting is that for you, maybe?
I lost you at the beginning. Practice what?
With not counting practice, how is it exciting for the kids to meet to meet fans today, and for you?
Well, it's very exciting. I mean, our focus is to practice. I only got so many of these practices. I got 28 and I gotta get them all right. So that's the focus and energy of that. We're not gonna let that be a distraction. I think the big key is afterwards, we're giving back to the fans. But prior to that, we're giving to each other. We're gonna be out there, pads popping, hitting each other, getting after it, competing, fighting for starting jobs, and that's what you want, you know. But all the stuff that goes on prior to, they gotta be able to separate. No different than game day, they gotta be able to separate the dog walk from the game. So, you know, we wanna get used to having those distractions, but also the ability to focus on the task at hand, which is having a good practice. We got some guys who need to have a good practice, and who need to move forward.
Last question.
Coach, noticed you mentioned Daniel Bellamy and Lorenzo Carter a minute ago. You were talking about during the spring how you wanted more from those guys, leadership, everything. Have you gotten that, or have those guys kind of stepped up in that role?
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of guys on defense are trying to be good leaders, and a lot of guys on offense. We got a really good group of core guys. Not all our leaders are seniors. It's kind of a younger team, where some of the kids that maybe are sophomores or juniors are having to lead, and we only have a few seniors out there. But I do think that both Davin and Lorenzo are trying to lead from the standpoint of emotionally, physically, day to day, doing things the right way. We just got to play better. We got to play tougher. We got to play the tight ends blocks better. We got to strike people, and that's the part that I'm not pleased with them. It's not the leadership part. It's playing the blocks the right way and doing the things Coach Shebb's asking them to do. Thanks, guys.
Coach Tucker will be in.